Good morning.
Good morning.
I suppose we should say welcome to the business of machining.
Yeah, we should get into like a real intro. Like, I'm John.
And I'm John. Oh, so I was laughing because I said, should we talk about business or should we talk about machining? But the first thing I was thinking was, holy cow, Grimsmo tops.
Yes, we have launched our newest, first non-knife product, high precision spinning tops.
The handle, I don't know if you call it a knurling, I'm sure it's a cut process, but it's beautiful.
Yeah,
the thimble.
Yeah, they turned out really good. I sent you one a while ago, and I don't think it had that knurling on it.
It did not. I may have to remedy that.
Yeah, and actually the grippiness makes an enormous difference. Like the one that you have doesn't spin very well because you just can't get any traction on it. But yeah,
got it.
Yeah, so the tops are pretty awesome, and they've been selling really good, and it's really fantastic to be able to ship a product immediately. Like, we have them in stock, and we can just order, ship.
They just go, right. A lot different than building up a knife, huh?
Exactly, yeah. But we've had a lot of really, really positive feedback. Guys are loving that we've come out with a sub $600 product.
And again, it has that Grimsmo perfection to it, huh?
Yeah, so we're really happy.
Do you have any idea what the RPMs are when you spin a top?
I tried, I have a little RPM laser sensor, whatever it's called. So I drew a Sharpie mark on it. Maybe that wasn't reflective enough, but I couldn't pick up any reading. But I would love to know. Maybe I need to black out the whole thing and then put a little reflective piece on it. You
might be able to get a camera that records in 120 frames a second or something.
Yeah, my GoPro I think does 240 or... That's a good point.
That ought to let you slow for, maybe not exact precise, but I have no idea. Is it 400 or 4,000?
Yeah, I really don't know.
4,000.
No. But I would love to know.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, good for you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
So how do tops fit into Grimsmo knives as a whole?
As a whole, it's the kind of product that I would like to keep in stock so that people can buy it anytime. The knives will always be the pinnacle. They'll always be the holy grail. We probably won't make very, very many of them. So they're probably always going to be hard to get. I'd love to remedy that situation, but the fact is they just take so long and they're so precise. But yeah, things like the tops, and we've got some other products we're working on and hopefully to come out with in the next 3 to 6 months. Yeah, just to be able to have this kind of stuff in stock that, generates cash flow and revenue and keeps customers happy too, because they can get something instead of just a sticker.
And this is made solely on the Nakamura AS200L?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun.
Bar fed.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And it's 3 pieces?
2 pieces. Well, yeah, the ball is the third piece.
The ball? Yeah, right. That's really cool. Yeah, it's funny because I really am to talk about the business side of it, I am really a big advocate of... and it goes back to your personality and being honest with yourself, but I think it's so much easier to make good decisions, to invest time into products and fixtures and to do all that when you don't have as much pressure on keeping your business afloat. And sometimes keeping your business afloat means I kind of call these things like these tops like passive income. Like, you've built this brand, you've done a really good job, you're going to sell these things, and it's not the whole story, but it's a key part of helping you make really good knives, right?
Yes. It's kind of a weird side thing, but sometimes you need these side projects to fund other things.
Exactly.
The machinery payments are really adding up now. A business needs cash flow. That's the number one reason businesses fail. So things like this will help us out immensely.
And that's why, and something I want to focus more on some of our YouTube videos is, I am not a job shop. I am actually trying to do even less job shop work than I've ever done before. Now, more work with certain customers. And it's kind of sad to me because when I started, I was that enthusiastic, I will do anything for anybody because if I can make a part that pleases somebody, then that's proving that I've learned some ability to machine, and that's awesome. But I'm also learning that it's really hard to grow a job shop, to scale it, to staff it up, and it's feast or famine sometimes, and that's difficult. And so again, for us, we've got the YouTube channel, we've got some of our own products, other income that tends to be actually more reliable, that helps me handle the ebbs and flows of a job shop.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
What'd you get into this week? Was it all tops?
The tops have been finished for a while, so
it
was, boxing and shipping and figuring out, a solid method for making that process easy. Printing off shipping labels through ShipStation is just a godsend. It's like so awesome. Yeah, it's nice to be able to see the printer just like print off 20 labels in a row. And
Are you batching them?
I've started to try to do that, yeah.
Okay,
and
got it.
It doesn't, like, we're in Canada, so some of the tops are going to Canada, some are going to US, some are going to UK, and it doesn't like batch shipping to different countries.
Yeah, I've noticed we don't get enough orders to really focus on that, but I had a couple of days where we did, and it's the same thing. Like, if you know they're all with the same service, like the post office or FedEx, and they're all to the same country, it does work well, but otherwise, I got to learn more.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, since you're right next door to FedEx, do you just walk packages over and ship them from there all the time, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, why would you go to the post office when?
Oh, no. Well, post office is much cheaper in the U.S.
Yeah, okay.
There's if it's something is the size of an iPhone or even a little bit bigger, you can ship it priority for $6.
Yeah.
Whereas FedEx is really $9-10 minimum. But some people refuse to use the post office, like they don't have a good experience. The post office doesn't deliver as well. Or like when we send parts to big buildings, the post office goes through mail rooms, whereas FedEx gets delivered right to the person.
Interesting. Never thought about that.
Yeah, so you definitely want, like, if you send something to New York City, I would actually highly discourage the post office. Nothing against the post office, it's because these buildings have mail sort rooms that sometimes will add 2-3 days.
Interesting.
How's Grimsmo Knives machinery running?
Very well, yeah. So other than tops this week, we've been serious Rask production, finishing lots of knives, which is great. Eric finished up, I think, 4 full Timascus Damasteel.
Nice.
Like beautiful knives.
That's awesome.
So it's super nice to get those off our plate. And we've officially closed the Rask pre-order now, which is kind of a big deal.
What do you mean?
It's been open so people could continue to pre-order more
I see.
knives.
Okay.
And now we have closed that officially to kind of give us a concrete number of this is how many more we have to finish to catch up. It allows us to plan out, strategy and goal and timeline and all that. So otherwise it's just open-ended and you'll never catch up. Although
I assume your your confidence and rate of output is getting better every day?
Yep, it is.
Are you still having setbacks?
Always.
Yeah. No, I don't mean to ask it. I ask it as a friend because we have them too. You forget the tools wear, you forget that you just set an offset, just dialed it. I don't know, things like that.
Always, yeah. You forget to. We like to flatten the detent ball, the little ceramic ball, and there were 2 knives that were completely finished that didn't have a flattened ball for some reason, and I figured out it was the tool offset issue.
No. Can you fix that?
I was able to fix it, I think, but they might not be perfectly flat like they normally would. And it's just a big pain in the butt to go back and do stuff like that. But
sure.
Hey, it's part of the game.
Our Haas has the ability, it's a great example. It's probably really easy to do, but just the mental headache of thinking that I've got to open a manual or find a YouTube video to go figure out how to do this is usually that thought is worse than the actual work.
Yes, yeah.
But there's a way in Haas to, when you pull up a program, how does this work? Well, basically there's a way to get the screen to show you a photo that you took. So basically when I open a program called, John 4 offset fixture, SMW 16-inch fixture, it will open a JPEG image that I took with my iPhone on the Haas screen showing the work holding.
No way.
Yeah, which makes so much sense because I'm always like, which soft jaws did I use and how did I have them oriented, or you just all those little. We do so much stuff that you can't possibly remember. And putting the picture on your phone means I'm scrolling through all these other pictures to look for it, and I got to figure that out.
That is super cool. I've never heard of that before. Wow, what a huge props to Haas for doing stuff like that. Like on my Mori with the Fanic, I write little notes to myself in the G code, but that's about the best I can do.
Oh, we're doing a webinar today on the HSM, weekly Free Friday webinar on getting started with, I think it's called setting up a machine, but I'm going to kind of do it as what I've learned about buying a VMC, about setting it up, about running it, and how that react, everything from buying it to the installation to learning on it to fusion with it, and how we're running it as a production machine and as a job shop machine. And it's little things like that I haven't been doing that picture thing yet, but really helping us learn and get going on it.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Well, what are you up to for today?
Today, actually, this is exciting. We sent off our first batch of beta Tormach 1100 fixture plates to anodize. Ooh. So I got them all. I got 8 of them machined. I have material for another 12, but It's tough because part of me, I feel like I know that they're great. We've got these things so dialed in, the recipe's down, and part of me has a pretty high level of confidence, and then part of me thinks that's when you get foolish. Yeah. And so I thought, well, do I make 8 and send 8 to anodize, or do I send 20 to anodize? Yeah. And I realized the only thing I'm doing is really just saving on some shipping costs, and maybe some, the anodized price is probably a little cheaper if I send 20 versus 8. But that's totally the wrong way to do it. Send 8, get 8 back, know that they're good, get them off to customers, and I'll go make the rest of them.
Yeah, and then you have a baseline, it's not a big wondering thing.
Right.
Yep.
The dilemma is basically how much thickness the anodize adds, which it does add thickness. And I just learned in talking to the anodizer and researching this on Google that when anodizers talk about thickness, half of that thickness is in the material, because anodizing affects the top layer, and half of it is actually truly additive. So when an anodizer says 1 thou, it's really 5/10 in the part, 5/10 additive.
So that's per wall then of a hole.
Well, that's what's funny. Then you got to remember holes have 2 sides.
Right.
So we spent a lot of time dialing in our bore diameters to make sure that after anodized, it's got the right fit for dowel pins. But then also we had to go buy a higher H value tap.
Yeah.
So those are taps that have additional they're oversized taps to ensure that after the hole is anodized, the threads, faster still fits in there, because apparently anodizing is so hard that if you try to chase anodized holes with taps, first of all, you'll be cutting your anodize off, which is no good. Right. But also, it like breaks taps. It's really hard.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is this hard anodized then?
Yes.
Okay.
Truly type 3.
Right. See, I've never worked with that. Interesting.
It's what you want for this because of the wear and the long-term use.
You just going for black?
For now, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I guess they can do gray as well.
I didn't think about that. Or clear coat.
Well, yeah, like a clear hard anodized will be a gray.
It'll change the aluminum?
I think so.
Oh, yeah, it does. It does matter a little. You're right. I've seen that before. Oh, so actually, on that note, the last time I saw a hard gray anodized part was this week. A month ago, Mitsu Toyu America emailed us out of the blue and said, "We love what you do. Can we come down to your shop and film together?" And so I said, absolutely. What do we want to film? And Amish from SS CAD Cam, who I know you know, and I were looking at height gauges at IMTS. Height gauges being those sort of combination between a traditional, what do you call it, a height gauge, like something that sits on a granite block and just measures like a caliper. Yep. And CMMs being like CNC machines that just measure. These height gauges that they make that are sort of like mid to high 4 figures will do more things. They'll do hole diameters, and they'll do more complicated measuring and addition. You can set up programs to QC parts with them. Cool. And I realized this is what I would like to have for the parts coming off the Haas, bigger parts, because I don't have any big measuring tools, and things like our fixture plates, I can set them on here. I can measure flatness across the whole plate, and then I can measure like 2 holes that are really far apart. I can measure their diameters and their distance between centers, which will help me confirm that I don't have any twist or problems in the plates. Right. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So I was like, I really need one of these, a little expensive. So I asked Mitsu Toy, I was like, hey, will you cut us a little deal and we'll come film? And they said, for sure. So they brought us down a bunch of tools to play with, and we filmed a video called Job Shop Metrology Do's and Don'ts, kind of like just tips and tricks on using the tools that most of us have, things we should and shouldn't do, which was super cool. And then they trained me up on that LH600, I think it is, height gauge.
Wow.
It was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know Amish has a height gauge in his shop.
Yes. And it's funny because that's one of the things that I want to talk more about. I'll probably talk about it in today's webinar, is when you buy things like Haas's and Moris and Nakamura's, everything else gets more expensive. Your work holding, your measuring, your tooling, right?
Yep. We've got some regular Mitutoyo calipers, just a 6-inch caliper, and then we've got 2 or 3 sets of like cheap Harbor Freight ones that are $20, not $160. And so we've got one set of nice calipers, and now Eric keeps stealing it and like leaving it up at his desk, and he's like, I need a set for myself. I don't want to use the cheap ones.
Well, it doesn't do you any good. Like, I was trying to work on these bore diameters, and I have a set of gauge pins that are in thousandths of an inch, but I'm like, that's totally worthless because I'm measuring tenths.
Yes.
I couldn't even come close to affording a set of tenths gauge pins.
Welcome to my world.
Right? Oh my, what do you do?
I've machined my own gauge pins. Now that I have the lathe, I can machine them and measure them to tenths.
With so do you have one good micrometer?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I need to buy, which is embarrassing. But
for mill stuff, I mean, yeah, if you're measuring thickness and things like that, like I use my Mitutoyo micrometer all the time. But I put it up next to my Shar's micrometer, like a $45 one. They read a few tenths different, but the range, like the comparative range, is really similar.
No, that's fair. I'm starting to, for a long time I was really good, and I use those absolute Digimatics from Mitutoyo every day. And I love the feel of them. Yeah. And you're right, for most stuff it's good, but then all of a sudden I realized it goes just crazy bonkers where like when I pick up like a micrometer, well, so this was the funny thing. We had two different sets of Mitutoyo micrometers and we had our height gauge. All three should be stupidly good accurate. And we were getting different measurements between all three, a couple tenths, but I was like, that matters. And how do I know which one's right and wrong? And how would I know that if I didn't have three devices to check each other against? Right. And so we went through and we cleaned off the pads and we made sure we were doing the torque of the thimble correctly. And then all of a sudden, when you started really paying attention, you got the same numbers across all three.
Yeah, at that level, that's where you need a temperature-controlled room. And
well, but I mean, tenths isn't crazy. You try to do stupid things achieving tenths all the time, right? Yep. No, really, really cool stuff. So that was, Mitutoyo was here this week, which is cool. And today, running that webinar, we're running some really fun job shop projects. I'm actually enjoying them because they're going well and we're doing a better job of making really good fixtures that just work off. Basically, acknowledging you need to put a little bit more time into the upfront planning and fixture work, and then knowing that the job is just going to run perfect versus that kind of, let me see if I can build a fixture that should work a little bit quicker, and then you kind of fight it.
Yeah, I'm no stranger to fixtures. I spent 2 hours this morning from 5 a.m. further improving my Rask fixture. I've just got one right now, and I'm planning on making another 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So that I can...
And they need to be identical, right? Because you're going to hot swap them?
Yeah, so I'm going to make them all 4 at the same time, and they're going to have hardened steel liners for the fixture pins, and they should be hopefully really good.
Do you ever use your Renishaw to QC or, sort of poor man's CMM things?
A little bit, but not a lot.
I would think the quality of your machine is good enough that should be a pretty good machine to check parts with, right?
Yes. If it had a smaller ball tip on it, the one on there is like a 1/4 inch, then I think I'd use it more for like hole diameters and stuff.
Yeah. So have you heard of QMark?
No.
It's QMark.
Okay.
Awesome company. Like one of those companies, kind of like Meritool. Like they're just awesome. Small group of guys. I found out about them through Monkey Like Shiny.
Yeah.
So they make aftermarket probe tips. And I was kind of like, what, is there really enough demand for that? And that actually ends up that there is, because lots of people need different lengths and sizes. And kind of one of those funny world like coincidences. 2 days later, I found out that QMark was helping a Detroit diesel reman facility in the next town over with these like 18-inch long Renishaw probe tips.
Whoa.
And you've got so much to deal with there because of the sag and flex and gravity and all this stuff. Anyways, we bought a QMark probe tip that's got like a 1 millimeter ball, and it wasn't even that expensive.
Nice.
And it's just, just plugs in.
Yeah, because I don't need the bigness of this one. If I had a small one, I'd still use it for everything.
Right. Yeah, you only need the big one if you're... Actually, it's funny. I did find out having a big one helps us because there's one part that I flip and I deck it, but there's still a pretty big burr from how it gets flipped, and that burr goes away when I chamfer it, but I can't chamfer it until I do a location of midstream coordinate probing routine. And I can't do a midstream probing routine if the probing ball is hitting the burr. Right. So you need a bigger ball to basically reach around the burr.
Yeah, first world problems.
Right? No, but it's good stuff, right?
No, I was just thinking, like, as you were saying that, I'm like, imagine you telling yourself that 6 years ago.
Yeah, that is funny. That is crazy.
And you're just saying it like it's normal. Another day in the park, using my Renishaw probe to just, yeah, it's awesome.
I think we talked about that in the last Friday when we talked about how like it doesn't feel any different because it's just John and John. Like I don't feel any different than I did a year or two ago, but it is different.
Yeah, it's just growth. You become smarter, and it becomes the new normal, and you still want to get smarter.
Right.
Like you and I still want to learn the world, and we still want to get different equipment, and we like the growth mindset is still there. We're still hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungrier than I've ever been.
Yeah.
It's funny on my Wednesday morning coffee session. I actually had a low week in terms of, it's weird. I like never get in spats with my wife, and at the risk of oversharing publicly on a podcast, we didn't get along this week. It was silly and stupid like it usually is. Although we don't really fight that much, but that stunk because I guess I'm just so used to having a great home life that when that was not good and I was struggling with a couple things at work, it was frustrating. So that's actually one reason why on Wednesday I hit on some good stuff when I was thinking to myself at coffee, and it made me want to go film that chip break where it was a pretty raw chip break where we talked about like growth.
Yeah,
anyway, what I was realizing was, what do I want to do? What do I care about? And I think sometimes taglines and mottos are a little bit cheesy, but these 3 words just popped into my head and I haven't been able to get them out, which is learn, make, and inspire.
That's the definition of John Saunders.
That's everything I do, whether it's the training or job shop or business like that's all me.
Yeah,
I want to keep learning, I want to keep making, and I really want to keep inspiring other people to do it.
Wow. Yeah, that suits me very well too. I like it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Although you need to get back into doing more YouTube videos.
I know.
Mr. Grimsmo.
That falls back into the inspire. That's
you need to push yourself harder.
Yeah. I just got to work harder, man.
Yeah, quit being a slacker. No, seriously. Do the GoPro thing again. Just film a 5-minute. Every time I tell you to film a 5-minute video, it ends up being 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, it's that, the not fear of starting, but just you put it off. I'd rather do something else.
Yeah. What are you into today?
Today,
Morass?
more RAS production. I ran the Maury last night when I went home, which was great.
That's amazing.
Yep, I love doing that. And it's like, I almost didn't do it. And then I'm like, it's going to take me 10 minutes to set it up. And then it's going to run for 2.5 hours when I'm gone.
That's incredible.
So,
that's great.
Of course I'm going to do that. Recently, I casted a new... You know how I used the smooth-on stuff and I casted the relief for the blade?
Yep.
On the one side of the fixtures that it supports the blade. I casted a new one because I think I told you last week we were playing with this grinding wheel in the Maury.
Yes.
To grind the blades, and we're getting really good results, but it's still burning the blades every now and then.
Huh.
Which is kind of annoying.
Are you did you start redressing it in the machine?
Yes. Yeah, we're doing every trick imaginable.
Huh.
I talked to Alfred Leon.
Yeah.
And he put me on to somebody else. Nice lady, Linda, who knows everything about everything. So I'm using all the tricks that both of them are telling me and getting pretty good results. I think I can get it without burning now, so that's good.
Okay.
But yeah, so
that's
I
awesome.
had to cast a new thingy, which it says it takes 90 minutes to cure, but it really takes 24 hours to cure.
Oh,
so
got it.
It just kind of sucks to have the machine sitting cold for 24 hours.
Oh, you have to let it sit. Okay, yeah, that stinks.
Yeah, so, but that's good.
We went through, I've got to do a video on this because I'm actually proud of it and it might be relevant, but we just are finishing our whole water system for creating, storing, and delivering reverse osmosis water to our machines, which ends up being really important. It wasn't expensive, but oh my gosh, I talked to plumbers and plumbing supply companies, and there were a lot of confusion about how to do something. I won't bore you now with it, but it'll be a good video.
That's fantastic. I'm looking into putting filters onto the Maury.
Oh, right, because you're grinding now.
Because I'm grinding, and it's mostly from like the dressing that is spitting all the dust into the machine, but. Yeah, I definitely want to filter that coolant so it's not just spraying everywhere again. How
I saw a picture that you increased your coolant size in the lathe, right?
Yes.
That going okay?
It's going okay. I actually haven't run the lathe all that much to really test that thing yet, but something I need to do probably today. If not, definitely next week. Yeah, it's keeping the temperature down, which is good. I mean, the tank on there before was just so small. When it's spitting 300 psi coolant, it's just kind of circulating.
Right.
So yeah, we cut our temperature growth by half almost. I think. Yeah, I just have to run it more and do more testing.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought when I saw that photo of that top. The one I've got doesn't have the Grimsmo knives double balanced engraving on the face of it.
Yep.
And I was just like, God, that's a beautiful machine to do that kind of work in a lathe.
Yep, using the C-axis for rotation, so it's bang on center every time.
That's awesome, dude.
I'm looking forward to taking videos of how we make the tops, because it's cool.
I was going to ask, I didn't want to put you on the spot. Are you going to share some of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, dude.
I'll share it all eventually.
Sweet. I was going through some stuff, getting some cleaning done, and I found a picture of a block of machinable wax that I bought with my first ever Enco order 10 years ago, because I was so scared to cut aluminum or even wood. I thought I'll try this wax stuff, and I never cut it. It's sitting here in its exact same form. So I thought maybe we'd leave with the words of encouragement of, folks, just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember having the same feeling back when I first got started. I never bought the wax, but I almost did.
I was so scared. I mean, cutting aluminum was mortifying.
Oh, yeah, I totally remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, have a good Friday. Go crush it.
You too. All right. Have a great day.
See you, bud.
Later. Bye.